All right. This is work and lunch. I'm yeah, there are things I feel like I need to get done. Whether I actually need to or not, I suppose is up for debate. But things I need to get done. One of which is whoops, I'm zooming in the wrong thing. One of the which is essentially a starting style dungeon. You can see, let me zoom out. Working really slow. This is what I kind of have. This part is relatively final, final in quotes, final for right now. Then I've got this. So this would be the underground portion, and this is the above ground portion of the same structure. And I'm making some steps. I'm making. I yesterday I went down, and a little bit today, I went down some rabbit holes of different ways to construct maps. I don't really, for whatever reason, Dungeon Draft hasn't been working for me. I couldn't tell you precisely why it hasn't, but it just hasn't. So I've been probably do something like that. So hey James, thanks. So I went down some rabbit holes looking at other tools that were available. I'm probably doing this wrong, but and I couldn't find anything. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I forget how to space these things around properly. I couldn't find anything that I really liked. There are a multiplicity of reasons. One of the big ones is some folks mentioned Dungeon Scrawl, and it looks good. Dungeon Scrawl looks good. Hey, R-dubs. Dungeon Scrawl looks good. Uh, the problem with Dungeon Scrawl, it's not even really a problem just for me. I know there's some kind of spacer thing I can do here, but I don't remember how to do it. I'm still kind of learning a little bit. Select all, then A. Was that gonna? Oh, did that do it? Arrange. Select all. Layer. Arrange. Alignment maybe. Space horizontally. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hey, some guy. I'm doing fine. Uh, that didn't quite work how I wanted. It doesn't look like I got. Maybe I need to do this whole thing. And I don't want the rectangle though. Okay, I don't have the rectangle, but is it going to arrange it all the way across, or how's it going to align it? Okay. All right. Great. No, that was good. Thanks. That was excellent. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this. Maybe I'll just use two of them if I want to have long stairs. Now I can highlight all of those, right? I can group them together, call them stairs, or I already have stairs. I should have called that different. Oh, called staircase. I know I could probably rename these, but I'll do that later. I'm trying to move fast. I put that there. Okay. So what's been going on? So yeah, that I can get rid of. Okay. So I want to start. Let me explain what I'm going for here as I go. And I'm not sure what to do with this. I guess so. This is supposed to be kind of a gatehouse type thing. I was thinking of showing stairs going up to the top of the thing, but maybe I won't have that. I'm trying to keep it to a very simple style, so I'm just going for the blue. I could probably dig up some map. I'm not sure what would be the best map that would show an overland in the kind of classic blue style. Uh, so the what I'm trying to do ultimately this for the starter adventure. Not that there's anything wrong with the adventures that are out there, but it's always one of those things. I feel like people ask about it, not necessarily ask me, but people ask just about it in general. Maybe I'll put it and about kind of like, well, what would you do? What would you have? Right? How would you do it? And I think those are fair points. Like, man, that's a good point. What would I do? right? What kind of adventure would I like to run? What sort of if I'm gonna say, oh, I'm not a fan of this one or that one or these problems, like what would I like to have? It's kind of what kind of elements would I like to have new players, potentially new GM also kind of have. I don't know this is gonna solve all those, especially when it's just I really feel pretty strongly I want to be a really just a session. Obviously, you can't say exactly the time. I'd almost rather it would run short rather than long, just because if it's short, I think you can always have the kind of bits where you're sort of talking about the adventure, right? If it was sort of like a session zero or in a con game, or if I was going to run this at a con, in which place you spend a little bit of time doing character generation or whatever intro kind of stuff you might do, and then you play the scenario. Uh, but it's meant to be that starter in a way that if you were to run it, then it would kind of lead into potentially more stuff. Now, the idea behind it is I'm doing a reverse version crawl, so to speak. This is one of those dealies where and this is not not in any way any kind of innovation on my part. This is you're starting off a prisoner and now you got to get out. Not quite a prisoner. In this case, the party is actually going to start here in this level, the dungeon or the Don John. Let me just take a sip here of. This is watered down apple cider for the working man. All right, so the story is the party's going to wake up. And I haven't decided whether to actually maybe I'll put it on some kind of tables. There'll be kind of rough tables here, and the party's going to wake up having been arranged on these tables and having had some kind of ceremonial garb put on them. But they wake up, so they're on the tables. Don't know where they are. Don't know how they got here, or maybe just the vaguest. Certainly no memory of what they're doing laying on these tables. And then basically the overall concept will be, okay, get out. Oh, James, you caught my cameo in Tale of the Manticore. Appreciate it. Did he mention I was the voice anywhere? Because I did listen to it. I actually I listened to it and was kind of cringing at myself, and then I forgot to mention it. But I noticed, at least on the podcast form, I didn't see any credits for the voices, so I guess it's on the website. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for noticing. If you're I forget, it's now, I think it's already an episode or so behind because he puts them out at quite a rate. Yeah, I was the voice of the warden for about 30 seconds on Tales of the Manticore. My first voice acting gig. I should put that on my IMDb page. Um oh, you've been on to excellent. Maybe if he ever has a cast party, we'll both get invitations. So the party wakes up on these slabs, some kind of tables, something there. They're in some kind of ceremonial garb. Don't know why they're here. Don't know where they came from. Don't know why they're here. Whatever. But they're going to hear. The idea is anyway that they would hear kind of the all hell breaking loose, but from kind of a distance, from sort of muffled shouts and cries, screaming. Oh, CastCon! I didn't realize there was such a thing as CastCon, but yeah. Screaming, muffled cries, that sort of thing. So they're they'll have a little bit of room to kind of try to sort themselves out. I should probably just go ahead and I have these various things grouped up. That one's this one, right? Yeah. I could put some little. Uh, if I get in the right spot. Um, they're going to hear kind of sounds of chaos. Chaos will be happening around. Oh, just wishing for one. It's a good wish. It's a good wish. Well, I guess if these are 5-foot squares, then maybe these are going to be a little bit, I don't know, rough it out. I don't care if they're not, whoops, not exactly correct. 90 degrees. Yeah, 5 feet. If you're tall, well, no, I got to have them a little bit further, right? So let's call it, I don't know, 0.75 maybe? That seem right? What does that say? 3.757 was height. Maybe that might be too much. Let's see. What is that? 7.5? Okay. Something like that. And these should maybe be, the width should be, oh, you know what? I need to put I got to put the lines on although the lines are already on the outside. Oh, that's, no. Okay. So as I'm just kind of, what would 0.5 look like there? Ooh. Oh, you know what? They're linked. I didn't want you linked. No, hold on. I gotta stop that. Something like that. Okay. So they're on these tables. Don't know what's going on. Chaos is around them, but it's sort of far away, somewhat. Right. And so then the idea here is they'll have some time to explore. And if there's more than however many of them, maybe some of them are piled in corners on the floor waiting their turn, maybe, or in one of these are cells down here. So maybe they'll be in some of the cells. So we can figure out how to make it work if there's a bigger party than what I have space for here. So they wake up on these tables, don't know what's going on, kind of chaos erupting around them. And their goal, they're not going to have been given. So no, we're not going with no hooks to start off with. They have no information. What they will have. I wonder if I should turn that. Should I turn that sideways? What they will have is, the potential to explore. Whoops. No. Hope I'm not moving the map around. I had those kind of lined up. What they'll have is the ability to explore around and decide what they want to do and escape, because they're not going to have a ton of, they're not going to have any resources really. So they're going to need to get out at some point. So, we could talk about, well, goal number one is getting out, and then potentially if there's some curiosity about what's going on, they could do that too. I kind of want to leave that open. They don't need to do anything. If they just want to just get the heck out of Dodge, they're welcome to. If they want to, I was going to just give them a white. Well, yeah, don't think that's it. Where's my color sets? It's not giving it to me. Where is it? Colors. No. Do I have to do it one by one? Okay, it's filled it. It's filled it. Good. They're gonna have a chance to figure out, okay, do they want to hang around? Do they want to leave? Right. That's gonna be their choices. Or rather, do they want to figure out what's going on, or do they want to just bail out? Totally up to them. Now they're starting on the middle floor because they're starting here. So they're gonna have the ability to investigate these cells, which is for some reason they need more. I figure 5. There's 5 there. They could all fit on there. For some reason, they need more than maybe some of them. Maybe 1 or 2 of them could start in the cells. Or we could roll some dice to see how many start in cells, how many start on tables, whatever. It's not super important. There's a well. There's a well here that's basically mostly silted over because this is not, again, it's kind of ruins, but I'm being very right. I'm not communicating the ruined state in this particular map. I'm not conveying in the map itself ruins. I'm not trying to make this ruined. Maybe I'll come back and do that later. I'm not sure yet. But but this well is kind of in sort of ruinous state. So they're not going to have any weapons. They're not going to have any bits. There'll be some torches on the wall, whatever. There's probably going to be a body somewhere here. maybe I know there's going to be something on the stairs is what I have in my mind. So they're going to start here. So they're going to have the ability right off the bat to explore this floor if they want, go down here to explore this floor, or head up here and then out here. So what exactly is happening? Let's get into that. I guess conceptually the state of affairs, the scenario is that the party were were kidnapped from parts unknown, or they can create that could be part of a little bit of the beginning of the session as they're waking up and kind of they have kind of no memory of getting here, but what were they doing before, right? What is their last memory? That would be a nice opening question. What was your last memory before everything went dark? Kind of, right? That could be fun. And maybe they know each other. I mean, I always like to have the parties know each other, and I think setting this up for a one shot doesn't really maybe matter too much, but for if you were going to do this for an ongoing campaign, it's another nice thing. Like, hey, how do you guys all know each other? How do you know each other, kind of thing. So they were going to be part of a necromantic ritual, which is a nice, it's stereotypical. It's definitely a trope, right? And I'm not paving any new ground. I am not doing anything new here. It's but the ritual or the preparations for the ritual, something has gone horribly awry before the party was able to be made part of it. So whatever they were going to do with the party was interrupted for reasons that are unknown to the party. And it's, I mean, that's, it's something where maybe I would leave it up to the GM to decide what exactly went wrong. Part of me almost thinks that there was another layer here, that it actually went right, but it wasn't. It was for someone's benefit who wasn't the person who thought it was. Like there's like some kind of, there's the guy, the necromancer who's trying to do this ritual, and there's some guy behind the necromancer. Maybe it's only a junior necromancer in front, and there's some, the Sith Lord behind the scenes, and this is going all according to the Sith Lord's plan. But of course, that the necromancer, the junior necromancer, was not aware that this was what was actually supposed to happen when they started preparing for the ritual. They thought they were going to do whatever. Instead, all hell's broken loose. So there's going to be undead through here. I think there's going to be one, I think, on these stairs. There's going to be, if they go check out the well, there's going to be a body that fell in the well. This door will probably be open. There'll be a body that fell in this well. And I think there'll be some, I'm always a fan of the giant centipedes. There might be some giant centipedes down here, but there'll be some weapons or something. So I part of it as I'm thinking about, like, how can I make the gathering of weapons, the gathering of your tools is interesting. I would say that if I was running this, and I'll probably put notes in here, right? Don't even have them. Don't bother with the spend your 80 gold pieces and get your packs. Like, no pack. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about your inventory because you have none. And I want to do a little bit more than just like, well, look, you see these packs laying in the corner. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that either. So I want them to make choices about what to do, kind of what things to get. So if there's a body who's down in this well, then it's kind of silted up. So it's sort of quicksand like and mushy, but they're down there and beyond where you can reach and grab them. But clearly there's like an armed cultist, if you will, or an equipped cultist is down there, but also giant centipedes, at least one, maybe 1d4, whatever. So you can try to figure out, well, how can we get the body up if they want to? They don't have to, right? How can we get the body up and maybe get at least some kit? But of course, then can we get it off without the centipedes coming off? And this, of course, is not something I want to answer, but that's up to them. I don't know what kind of stuff I'll leave hanging around. Obviously, there are these tables. I don't know if they'll just be like, oh, look, there's coils of rope. There might be stuff here because in the storeroom, there probably would be some coils of rope and some things, but there's more active undead types up here. And I think it's just mostly going to be zombies. Nothing's old enough to be skeletons. Exactly. So there'll be more. So yeah, there's equipment up here, but of course there's going to be somebody, I think a newly undead that's just kind of hanging around in these stairs and isn't really going to move unless maybe they make a lot of noise. There's still, I haven't ironed out all the details. It just kind of the broad brush, so to speak, is they're going to have a chance to kind of figure stuff here, but there's not going to be a lot of like, oh, look, there are swords over here. Oh, look. No, it's going to be, okay, you can grab torches off the wall. You can do some things, but going to be limited. And maybe I'll hide something. Maybe one of the cells will have something. I don't know. Maybe not even, right? I want them, I think part of that kind of, at least I feel like that kind of new experience is, at least that I want to try to engage with, is that how can you kind of make the best of your situation? So I want folks, instead of just handing them their tools, I want to say, okay, well, what kind of stuff do you want? How can you get that stuff? Maybe, you could break apart a table to get some kind of makeshift clubs. Right. And it's not stuff I'm going to mandate, just, whatever, use them. They're going to be rough hewn tables. You can take them apart, but they'll make noise, which again might bring down something from below. You might ask, what is down in the oubliette? So I'm using these open pits. These were pits that people were dumped in basically to be forgotten. In this one, which I'm showing as a large hidden pit, but it's not, it's closed. It's not particularly hidden, but what's in here in this deeper pit is a ghoul. And there will be, I think, a body down there with the ghoul, and again, a chance to get something, and maybe even actually a magic item, maybe like a +1 sword or something might be on the body that was tossed down there to kind of feed the ghoul. And some of its remains are down there, but of course, you got to get down there and deal with the ghoul to get it. So another sort of you got to make that choice, assuming you come down and investigate. This ghoul, the pit is designed to keep the ghoul in there and not let it out. So at this point, the ghoul can't get out. No one's lowered a rope to help it clamber out. So it hasn't gotten out. It's down there. And in fact, this would be covered, but the party could open it up if they wanted to check it out, see there's a ghoul there, and see the body down there, and then decide whether to deal with it or not. There might be I think there'll be some bodies, maybe body here. They're probably not going to be much on those bodies, because why would you put I'm having a hard time believing. Like, I understand with the ghoul that just for kind of sporting purposes, they threw a guy in there with some crappy armor, like leather armor and a blade or something. Maybe he had a knife on him or something, or maybe it's a magic dagger or something, right? Just to kind of test out the ghoul, kind of a proving ground for the ghouls. Maybe even there's multiple bodies and there'll be a single magic sword kind of stuck in there somewhere. But that one I can kind of see, because I could, in my mind's eye, the picture I have is they might open that up, throw things in there, and then kind of watch, right? It's like a little bit of a sporting event. But these other little pits are just basically to throw people in, either to forget about them or just to hold them in there until they decide to give them to the ghoul. So we got the ghoul down here, whatever here. So they'll have a chance to kind of maneuver around and do that. I have no idea how long this would take. This is those things that I don't have a good sense, because these are not, as you can tell, these are not big maps. I mean, these are tiny, right? They're 5-foot squares. You just have some little rooms. You got this little thing here, whatever. There's not a lot to it, but I am curious if I get a chance to try this out anytime soon. I'll be curious to see how fast people try to make a beeline, or the fact that they're going to hear noise coming from here might have them try to move down here to figure out what else is going on. I don't have any I don't have any secret exits. This is not a particularly, jacazed space. It is kind of simple. I'm just kind of going, my inspiration, if you want to call it that, is merely like, well, maybe there was something here. Like, I imagine that before the necromancer took over, these areas existed. Maybe this pit was for something else, or maybe they dug that out. The storeroom was a storeroom, or here was this well, so that if you're under attack, you come get water from the well, blah, 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 kind of things like that. It's like, I'm just kind of going with that, but it's a small enough space, I think. And kind of for me, that the real sort of 3-dimensional element is going to come when they decide to pop out of here. So if they come out to the, I got to flip this around because I have this on the wrong side. I should do that now, maybe. If they come out here, you know what? Hold on a minute. A better idea is to if they come out, I gotta try to center that again. If they come out up here, this is where I guess the more 3-dimensionality comes in, because they're going to come out. They're going to be in this ruined fort. There's going to be a stables over here, but there's not going to be any good horses in there. There might be some things here. I'm not sure. there's this kind of gatehouse area. Maybe this is too big. Maybe I need to scrunch this down a bit, this gatehouse. Maybe I should make that. I probably should make these. I might have to change it. I think this is just a square, so I might need to get rid of this. Let me get rid of this right now. Boop. So they're going to have, and then after this, so then if they get past here, if they escape one way or another, then there's going to be a little bit of a hex crawly section. What's a tack shack? Hey, Frederick, I don't know what a tack shack is. So you'll have to enlighten me on the tack shack. If they get through, so there's going to be more folks going on up here. I might put in, maybe I will put in some like a second level or do first floor, second floor here with the fort. So it highlights more of the interactivity. Oh, horse riding equipment and storage shed. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would just probably just think that as part of the stables. And I mean, would they have those in different caltrops? I don't think they're. I don't know if they'll be. I don't know if they'll have caltrops anywhere, but you know. So once they get out of this, which is somewhat linear, just in terms of there's only one way out. I thought about doing, I thought about some things, and you guys can let me know if you think, like, I thought about having a collapsed area where they could get out maybe from the well room. Maybe there's a gap in here, but I think part of the, in terms of having it for a kind of a teaching thing and sort of wanting to kind of get through, I think I kind of want them to experience. I feel like for that, I guess for that, not even necessarily a teaching thing, the experience part. Maybe I want them to come through, but I don't know. Because I always like mucking around and kind of adding other exits and stuff. But part of me also is thinking, like, this area is so small that if I give them like a discrete exit out of one of these levels, I mean, I would take it. If I'm down here and I could take it and not end up here, unless this goes somewhere, then I'm, good luck on me. I'm going to take it though. Maybe I'll do this. There's something to get to the stables. Maybe there's an exit from here to the stables, underneath the stables, which could be kind of cool. So I might do that. In any case, once they get up here, there's going to be kind of the all hell breaking loose is going to be happening up here with multiple things going on. I was also considering, though I haven't decided, whether there's going to be an upper floor to this building, if this building is kind of ruined and open to the sun, or maybe there's an upper story that's still exact. And then I want to put somebody up there, like, help me. I don't know, somebody up there to give them choices. They can escape, which is going to be the easiest thing. Easiest thing for them would just be like, we're at it, getting out of Dodge. Goodbye. The harder thing would obviously be, let's save somebody. And then once they've made that decision and left, then a hex crawling portion of a couple of hexes, 3 mile hexes to get to town, and getting to town would that would be it. You've arrived at your safe place. End of starter adventure, and then you can then fold it into whatever, right? If you rescue the person, I think there's somebody you can rescue and get them back, then they might be so. I was thinking that maybe whoever runs that town, the local lord or whomever, is that let's see, Dave asks, the person up there an intentional trap or bait. I guess it's I would call it a choice, Dave. I wouldn't call it a trap or bait. It's a real thing. It's not luring up there for because the idea here, and I'm not sure if you heard my whole spiel, my rambling spiel, but the idea is that the party were meant to be sacrificial victims, but before they could be sacrificed, as they're still being prepped for sacrifice, everything's gone crazy. And so whatever stupor they were put under, whatever potion they were given, whatever they were doing has worn off, because they were supposed to be, you were supposed to be sacrificed by now, but they weren't. They were left because people, as soon as, you imagine the period while the party's still unconscious or in slumber, whatever, the people who were supposed to be tending to them and getting them ready for their grand sacrifice heard the cries for help, things going on, went to check on it, but got consumed by that. And so the party then comes up out of their state and it's just is left there. So the person crying for help is not It's not. It's a bait. It's more like it's a choice. But obviously, if you take somebody who can't necessarily fend for themselves and do things, and then obviously you have to try to get them out. Depending on when you decide to rescue them, that's another choice you make. Do you, of all these different cultists who have become mostly zombies, so I think on this level, on this outside level, there may be still some that aren't. And maybe again, I was thinking maybe I have a ghoul down here, and there might be one higher level undead out here somewhere. Do you just try to slaughter all of them and then take the lady at your leisure and go home? But keep in mind, you're probably level 1, so that's kind of a hard ask, but it's sort of chaotic, out here. Do you just run? Do you go up and kill them because you think it's a trap, right? It's your choice, but it's not specifically like here's where I'm getting it. It's a carrot, I suppose. It's something that could be something, or it might be nothing, and it's going to be up to the party to figure out: are you something or are you nothing? That be for them to discover. I'm just going to put some. I'm going to put some maybe like that for some bars. Let's see if I can do that arrange trick again. Frederick asks, what is the fort doing out here? It was abandoned. It was one of those that it was there, and as the rise and falls of different things have happened, it was not. Oops, I didn't quite get that right. It was intended to. I think maybe these are a little bit too big. It was left to ruin, and when you leave things to ruin, you make an ass out of you and me. I mean, that's kind of the. Oh, that's a good way to put it. So, whoops. And that's why I've been, and keep in mind, I call it a ruined fort. It is not, it's not looking particularly ruined in this picture. I don't know whether I'm going to get it looking that way. Maybe I'll try to add something. I'm not sure. So there's not a lot going on. That's kind of the thing. It's not really a castle. There's no real living quarters. This was somewhere that, soldiers at some point, maybe they had literally as a kind of a military type installation. Frederick says that the fort was there to protect against the monsters. Where are the monsters? Well, I think a fort can serve multiple purposes, right? The fort is there for a multiplicity of reasons, potentially. So it doesn't have to be there just for one thing. Of course, a fort will protect you from monsters. And given the kind of game we're playing, there are monsters. But it can be for many reasons. People build forts for many reasons. I've been reading this book. Where is it? It's just called, was it The Forge of Christendom? It was called Millennium. Now I think it's called The Forge of Christendom. And I'm just on the section. It's the section that I bought the book for. And this, I think I didn't quite get these the right size. Anyway, I'll have to monkey around that later. That people are building castles. This is I'm in this period where they're talking about building castles. And I'm gonna have to muck around with these alignments, but that's okay. And in this castle building phase, they talk about, or the author kind of discusses a little bit of why people were building castles. Now, keep in mind, of course, the only monsters in our history are our fellow men, humans, who could certainly be monstrous enough. And that there were multiple reasons, some of which, and there are some other kind of sources that I've also been reading, or books. They're not, direct sources, talking about, folks who, in response to the Vikings, were, when actually they were kind of pushing back the Vikings, let's say in places like England, when the Vikings, the Danelaw was an event kind of pushing back against that, they would free a town and then fortify it to make it harder or impossible for the Vikings to take back again. And that was kind of one thing where you get this would come from. In other places, it was to protect against Vikings and things. Hey, you can't, if the Vikings are coming up the coast, you can't wait for the capital to send out somebody. You have to have people there. So you build it that way. They talk about in basically the sort of the rise of Anjou in France, that area, and how they built castles both defensively but also as an aggressive act to hem in enemies by putting this thing right there, blam, like deal with this. So, there are many reasons. As Frederick points out, yes, the Romans would build these palisades and they would fortify their camps as they traveled. And they would put them sometimes obnoxiously, I think, in the middle of roads or at a crossroad. They would really just kind of stick it to you. So there are many reasons. It doesn't have to be, oh, it's just monsters, because yes, there are monsters. And I think and part of the thing, and I've talked about this in other streams, is part of why I've come around, at least for the kind of Western themed sort of fantasy, that there are going to be castles everywhere because monsters are everywhere, because dragons don't know any borders. So there's no place that you could say, oh, we're in the heartland of the kingdom and we're safe. No, you're not safe, because a dragon can still fly over any day now, or some other thing can show up. So there's no safe. And then the other part of it is that the way the kind of geopolitical system's going on, I was talking about how it was, I guess this book is talking about that it took till the 13th century in France for them to start referring to the king basically, or as the kingdom of France, as in supposing that there's an actual land component. Before that, they were king of the Franks. They were king of of the people, and wherever the people happen to be, you're king of the Franks. So especially if you're kind of in the earlier sort of medieval period, there wasn't the sense of like, we're this, because that all stuff could change too. You get invaded, you become part of this duchy or this whatever. Your allegiance of local lords and their bosses are changing potentially all the time. There's this whole fabric. There's not like you're in the middle of the whatever. It's like, no, when these people invade and come in, you're fighting against your neighbors. There's not really any middle. Where you're in the middle of what? Because you could be in the middle of a duchy, but that means you're only a couple miles from this other duchy, and maybe they were friends for a generation, but now they hate each other, and now you got bad guys at the door. So you kind of need castles, I submit, pretty much everywhere. Unless you're playing in sort of a Magic, or you have some other thing where you can say, here are the reasons why we don't have any invasions, we don't have anything, right? Okay. And even something like Rome, right? You think of like, well, the Roman Empire. Well, but Rome got invaded multiple times. You had Hannibal running around, and all those towns, Hannibal was out there. They were all fortified. So even, Rome, at at least different times, had fortifications, because it would happen to them too. Certain things would happen, blah, blah, blah. Grumpy Dad says they're visualizing something like the moat house near Hamlet. Oh yeah, I should probably look at that. I have Hamlet, but not handy. I don't think I have a digital look up, but yeah, I should probably look at that one. This is a very, it's pretty much, this is no great shakes. This is not somebody's grand castle. And when I talk about, so I think on a technical level, I don't know how talking about forts and castles, a castle's a residence, at least as I'm referring to it, and a fort is a military thing. This is a fort. This is something somebody built to occupy with soldiers. And at some point, again, I look at it that there was a threat here at some point. It doesn't have to be monsters. It could just be the neighboring lords, and you build up this thing. And then, of course, as fortunes rise and fall, the power of ebbs and flows, whoever was controlling this fort lost control of it, never got it back. They're expensive to upkeep and to maintain. And if you don't need it, if whatever happened, maybe they got absorbed by the other duchy, or they absorbed the other duchy and it wasn't of particular use to them. Because maybe that this fort, again, like I was saying, sometimes a fort was built to intimidate people. Maybe this fort was built on what used to be a border to intimidate somebody. It's already over. It's not in a particularly strategic spot outside of that. So it's just kind of abandoned. And, things get abandoned. I mean, look, especially in D&D and fantasy games, things are abandoned all the time. So it's abandoned, and then some baddies move in, start conducting experiments, which then go horribly awry. Ryan Smith says sometimes forts are abandoned. I get it. The housing market is always tough. Yeah, I see. That's all. That's the housing market. It's there was a housing crisis, and they couldn't afford to keep up the payments on the fort. Dave says oftentimes the fort would have been built as a show of military force as well. Someone that said to local peasantry, "This is my land now." Yes, I mean that's part of what I was talking about, kind of in that that way to oppress and oppress folks. Yeah, it's a show of aggression. So it's a show of power. It's control. I mean, bottom line is right. They're all about control. Whether you're trying to control things for the good or for the ill or for whatever, it's to show that you control this area, and then folks have to deal with you. But as happens, as time comes, as the winds of time, the clocks go. Sometimes some places, are abandoned for various reasons. So presumably this was abandoned. I think what Fred, you're getting at is a good point, because I do definitely think you should think about those things, and I have. In this case, though, it's just more about the geopolitics. Now, where can I put some stables? Because this is such a small fort. So I'm thinking these are 5-foot squares. Maybe it really wouldn't have, or I could put it. Let's see. Well, I could have it down here. So maybe I think I got to remove. I'm going to put stairs to go up to some battlements or whatnot. I don't even really think there's really going to be battlements. Just really maybe a wall. There'll be a platform here, but not necessarily full on crenellated battlements. It's not supposed to be that complicated. Brian Smith says, or if the fort is haunted, it gets abandoned, eventually occupied by a mask-wearing villain who gets undone by Scooby-Doo. That's true, too. That is true as well. I'm going to put, I need to flip this. I think I also got to try to keep in mind what strokes I'm using for all these. So, I have to say, and I'm sure if I was using InDesign, or I am using InDesign rather, if I was using Photoshop, this would probably be as easy. Would that work? But I have to say that it's pretty darn. Yeah, I got to put an archway. Pretty darn easy to get some basic shapes. I just went and I created all these symbols myself. They're all pretty. You can see here the ones I made. It took me a little while, and I'm not a super artist man. So, but I have to say, pretty darn easy to get at least some just generic symbols going. And the one advantage, I think, is if you're in a program like this, you obviously have access to tons of things that specialized programs might not have. It's just that you're lacking all the quality of life stuff, right? So I have to remember, or I have to check and double check and triple check, what my border widths are, because I want to keep them consistent. Whereas obviously, if I was using a dedicated dungeon map software, it would have those for me. I don't have access to any tricks, because I know some of them will have like, oh, look, we've got the lighting baked in and all this stuff you can do. It's like, I don't have anything like that. I got nothing like that. I wonder if even this would be totally covered. Maybe I should just do. I don't know. How would that work? I don't know how we would do like an outside. I think I might just make some, because again, super basic. And maybe I would argue that some of the stuff is just kind of falling apart. I'm just going to put some kind of stalls here. Indicate that there might have been put horses in here, but they're not. So I'm just going to try to match it. Can I get you to? Why are you going over? I want you. Oh, I see. Gotta fix that stroke to be on the line. There we go. Dave says they really suggest Affinity software. It is a subscription model. Yes, that's an excellent reason if you're looking for software. And I mentioned this, that was a little while ago now, I guess, but they at times have some good sales. Oops. And then you can even get pretty good pricing, pretty good discount. But yeah, it's just you buy it once, you've got it. There's a little bit of a learning curve, and I'm not even going to pretend to be knowledgeable on the on how it works. Or sorry, on how all the tools work. But there's pretty good support there. They have a fairly decent and growing, I guess, marketplace for stuff. If you're looking for pens and brushes and all that, something. Grumpy Dice says the David Trampier drawing of the moat house in T1. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can. I'll Google it in the non-displaying window, just so I not. Let's see. Do we have images? Oh, let's see. All right. So here, I'm going to move this over. I'll drag this over so you guys can see it. So let's see. I mean, I'm not the artiste. Let's see. So is this it? Das Moat House? Does that look right? I don't. It feels kind of right. So it looks like they've got. So this is showing the interior. So you come in, and they have a bunch of things there. I suppose I could do it like that. Well, I mean, I am kind of doing it like that. I don't have arrow slits. They're showing the kind of, I guess I don't know if they're meant to. Did they have arrow slits like in the lower parts of the walls? I always presumed that it was if you were inside the. I'm not knowledgeable enough about anything. Brother Griffin says to be better off at 10 foot. It's awfully small at 5 feet. Yeah, what I was trying to do. It may not. I may have to admit. I was trying to keep the scale the same between the indoor, and the outdoor. Maybe I can't do it. What is the? Well, wait a minute. We just had it. What is the scale of theirs? They're not showing a scale, or are they? Let me see if I can find another image that maybe is showing the scale, if there is one, to see what he does. Goodbye, Das Moathaus. Let's see. That was Das Moathaus. Here we have the Moathaus. Oh, and it's a bigger image too. Okay, so they've got. Oh, look at that. They've got some explanations. Okay, so they had arrow slot. I guess they did. Okay, so this is kind of the raised inside. Pew, pew. Cool. I like it. The battlement, the arrow slot, the crumbled wall. Hey, Red Caps. Yeah, I definitely want to put some crumbly stuff in there. Their moat house is all one floor, so no, it's two, because there's stairs. I guess there's multiple stairs. Not sure. I'd have to look at the map. That is a good map. The only thing is the squares are so dark. It kind of makes it just a little bit hard to. All the lines kind of run together a little bit. I think in retrospect, if I was going to do a redo, I might lighten those up a bit, lighten them up. But yeah, I like it also because it gives you some various entries and exits, right? Ways you can get in or out. It says they would expect arrow slits in the gatehouse. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking in the gatehouse there'd be some arrow slits. Yeah, I was thinking that. I hadn't gotten to that part yet, but yeah. And see, the thing is, too, originally I had two towers here, and I was going to have arrow slits, but then I decided to simplify it into this kind of gatehouse model. There would be like a murder hole here, and so I guess I'll have to have two levels, I guess. We'll have to have two levels. Just have to do it. Have to do it. Redcap says, since we're messing with maps, anyone have a suggestion for a really good mansion or manor house map with 2 to 3 levels and lots of rooms? Do I have a manor house map? I actually had found some. Oh, where's my phone? Hold on a minute. I had found some. I think I put them somewhere. Yeah, I was messing around there. Let's see here. Hold on a minute. I'm not sure. What is it? Shoot, what is it called? Hold on a minute. It's called. Oh, I put my phone away and I forget what the name of that app was. Oh, Shazbot. Because I found a name of some manor houses, but I saved them on my phone. Hold on, let me see if I have it. Do I happen to have it in any dice? Let's move this off of here. Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can find it. Where was the name? What was the name? Oh, well, it wasn't notes. Maybe it wasn't notes. Was it something else? Shoot. Because there are some cool, like if you look up some castles. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can. I think I might be able to recreate it. Let me see if I can recreate what I was searching for. So I was looking at Mott and Bailey castles. And then go to Wikipedia. And so you get some kind of really interesting ones, but then you do get some this one where you get some you start getting names of specific castles, and some of them, maybe not this one, have maps. Like Clifford's. So I started just clicking on that's a reconstruction, that's a reconstruction. I'm trying to remember if I can see the name of the. So here's one. Here's one. Did I come here? I might have gone list of Mont and Bailey castles. Where was the one I was looking at? Was it no? I wish they were listed just alphabetically. I think it was. Was it Bedford? No. Berkeley? No. Brinklow? No. Anyway, so then you can come into something like York. So let's see if York Castle, for example, has a map. So then you come in and they got these great images, but this one might not have it. Well, they've got an outer map. Oh, they've put one in. If you go to the Hexed Press Discord, the Dave has just dropped one in. A map in there. But here's kind of this is kind of cool. So this plan, whoops, I liked it when it had the explanation. Has, let's see, A equals the gateway. B, where's B? I see C. What the heck is B? A, oh, B right here. B, stairway to the chapel. So it's a chapel above here. Staircase, the upper levels. Fortunately, we don't have the upper level. This is one thing that always has annoyed me in my search for castle information, is that you often don't get the second floor. Maybe because they don't have it, but I always find like, oh, I can get this ground floor. But then I'm thinking like, well, what's on the second floor of these places? And you don't get it. So annoying. Maybe with this one we will, but I always just feel like, oh, like this is great. Where's the second floor? There is no second floor. See, I mean, maybe it exists somewhere else, but then, oh, that's cool. Sometimes you can search and find it, and sometimes you can't. Pele's Castle? Well, I'll give it a shot. Oh, wow, there's some. So there's the basement. We have some that has all the floors together. Yes, this is way bigger than I would need, but it's very cool. Let's see if I go here, we'll actually have more. Oh, wow, fourth floor. Ooh, well, there's a lot. So this says, oh, that's a houseplans.com. Oh, this one might be pretty good. Can I? Oh, you're going to do that to me? I just want to see it bigger. You're not going to let me. Let's see if I just, you know what, Pinterest, you didn't create that image. You have no, why are you trying to gate it from me? All right, that's fine. Here's a good one. No, you can't, Dave. They block it, but that's all right. I got it. So this would definitely, I feel like, be more of a maybe a manor house, just because it's not built defensively. I will share this on Discord. I absolutely will. Pictures. Art, I guess. This is what is this called? Castle Drakkenberg. Castle Drakkenberg. And yeah, I will just oh, very nice. I will put this, I'm gonna put it in, let's put it in cool finds just to keep it, maybe make a thread. Fantasy, well, I'll just call it floor plans, because these are not fantasy. These are, oh, I thought I was doing that, but I guess it's here. All right. Links and images here. Okay. Yeah, I will upload a floor. Let me go find my pictures. Art. Where's, I just had it. Why is it showing me that? Is it still downloading or something? What is going on there? Hold on a minute. Okay. Yeah, this way just is in one place. You know, like I don't usually care too much about where things are, but I just figured this way everyone can kind of look in one spot. Let me see what's going on with that download for that, where my castle went. What's going on with you? Something happened with it? Did it not download all the way? What's going on? Oh, keep. Okay. For some reason, it was trying to protect me from myself. Castle Drakkenberg. There we go. So come on over to the Hexclave Discord. It's not letting you drop things in the thread. All right, either I'll do it. Why is it not letting people drop things in the thread? Do I need to fix something? Hold on a minute. All right, I'll figure it out later. If not, I will move it. I will move it over. But there, we'll throw things. So for right now, just put links in there. If it's not letting you drop images, and I'll fix it. But that is a nice one, drawn by Randwolf at randwolf.org. But yeah, I like this, and I'll just, for whatever reason, a lot of times I don't see the I don't see the multiple floors. So I like that we've got both floors. In terms of for your dungeons, I can, you know what? I will put it. Yes, I will ping it to you. Hold on. Where is it? I'll put it in the chat. Where's the? It's in the chat, and I will ping it to you, Redcaps. I see your message. And there it is. Okay. In terms of mapping, I don't usually go. I mean, I think I tend to just go with the normal dungeon kind of design. But what do folks feel like? Do folks like the more architectural layout? I kind of, because a lot of the things, I mean, there's some things that are interesting, like they don't usually matter too much. For example, which way the doors swing, in or out. That's something that if somebody asks, I guess usually I just roll a die, or as Daniel likes to say, which one would you, like Daniel likes to say, which way would you prefer? And then whichever, then you roll to see if it's the way you want it or the other way. It's not that it's not useful necessarily to have it, but I don't find it so useful that it's worth mapping them out. I mean, not that it's a big deal, because once you have the little graphic for a door swinging, you can easily rotate it to be whatever way you want. Flip it, rotate it, mirror it, whatever, or just make two so that when you have a double door, whatever. And stuff like for windows or things, this is kind of a nice touch with the, I guess that's the kind of the roofing. Very nice. Very nice. And then it's gonna feel painful to go back to mine. Blah! Okay, now it really looks shitty. You go from this beautiful to blah. But it does the job. I will have to add some. I might, because I'm using such simple shapes, I might just have to break it up and do something more complicated. What I like about this too is it is all vectors, so it's very easy to create, to shrink, or no resolution is lost because it's a vector. If I decide to make it bigger, smaller, it's not really gonna. I mean, it's smaller too, but that part doesn't matter so much. But I just kind of want to get the point across. Dave says they typically use as a guy while they make their own box maps because the boxy maps are faster. Don't have time for elegant maps most of the time. Yeah, I don't have the time, and I just don't have the. I'm just not skilled enough at it. I'm better if I was drawing it. I could do a bit better, not much better. Certainly not this, but I could do a bit better. What happened to our moat house? Like I could manage this more or less. I probably would say that I'd have to be paying close attention to make sure that that looked as good as this, but I could probably manage it. But and I think this is fine. Like I said, the only thing with this one is just that it just comes across as being very busy with especially with all the lines. And I don't know that I need all. And in fact, even and this is not even because it's poorly drawn, but just I don't think I need grass in every square that's grass. Like, just tell me that this is grass. We have the river leading into the moat. Got it. Someone's killing me, Smales. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's one of these annoying things. I'm on the second floor, so stuff from the street comes through, and it's a gorgeous day today, but hot. So I have the window open, and the guy is rolling a cart down the sidewalk, and our sidewalk is not particularly smooth. Something you discover, at least, I don't know if people make really smooth sidewalks somewhere. Not most of the time around here. So you put something that doesn't have really good wheels, especially if it's kind of clanky and metal, and it makes a god awful amount of noise. Even rolling luggage will make pretty large amount of noise. But you just gotta, it's New York City, so people are dragging stuff around. So you just gotta deal with it. Dave says the map looks like it needs a bit of color. Yeah, it probably could have, but back in the day, they weren't doing full color prints of these. Yeah, a bit of color would have. You could have gotten rid of all this, right? If they just colored the grass green, then you could have gotten rid of all this stuff and just had green. And you know, isn't there like a giant toad in here? And where's that damn spider? I don't remember. Is it here? Here? It's in one of the rooms. Is it here? Oh, now a school bus is coming by. My gosh. Dave says sidewalks were smooth 50 years ago when they were first laid, but the decades haven't been kind. Yeah, I think it's also the material they use. Because I don't know if I'd say these sidewalks are even 50 years old. It's just the material and the finish. It's not, I mean, it's not like you're walking on gravel. It's just maybe not as, given kind of how it looks from far, and then it's not as, and then you start rolling something on it, it's not as quiet as it may seem. But maybe if you were using rubber tire, real rubber tires and things like this guy, I got a guy out here right now. I need a window cam I can switch to. He's rolling his scooter, and it's got, it's a scooter with sort of the larger rubber kind of bicycle kind of tires, but smaller obviously, and it's pretty quiet. If you're riding a bicycle, it'd be pretty quiet. But these other things that have no shock absorbers and they're using hard, I guess the other part is they're using hard tires as opposed to air, something in there. That's where the noise really kicks in. Yeah, well, that's one of the things. Well, Dave, I actually had thought about that. That was kind of part of the puzzle. If we're going to talk about getting back to the thing I'm doing, the puzzly part of here, or one of the puzzly parts, it's how much mucking about do you do, or how quiet are you trying to be? Because when the party wakes up here, they're going to hear noise from above. They're not going to hear anything from below. They listen. In these two, there's essentially nothing making noise. And then here it's quiet. But if you start monkeying around moving the tables and stuff, you're going to attract attention. That would at least be, you're going to get a wandering creature check, is I guess right to put it. So you've got things you can mess with here because there's going to be a body in this well, but also some giant centipedes who are eating the body. But the body's got some gear. There'll be some potential gear here, maybe even something magical with the ghoul. And there'll be gear up here. And then there'll be stuff out here because there's going to be bodies and things. The question is for the party will be, what are they prioritizing? Are they prioritizing stealth? Are they prioritizing gearing up? Are they prioritizing escape? Are they just going to try to make a mad dash? Just like, okay, we're going to run up these stairs. Hope there's another exit out. I mean, you figure you got to be, okay, that's going to be clear. You're in some kind of underground because there's no windows in the dungeon. So I think you're going to have a pretty good guess. You're underground. So you're going to see these stairs only go up. Okay. We're going to run up. We don't know anything about the dungeon. It's not big, right? But you don't know. As a player, a new player, they don't see this map. They don't know how big this area is if they're just in a small area of something much more massive. In this case, it is small. So do you do that? Do you try to scrounge and try to arm up in some way? Like you could use these tables and try to like make yourself a shield, try to shield yourself, and then hopefully you maybe get it up the stairs. And this area is going to cause problems because you things can get around you, and these are barrels, so you have some columns, but then barrels, but things can get over the barrels. It's not or knock over the barrels and then get out. Or do you check out down here and potentially open this up and see what's there? Do you go to the well and do you try to get the body out and hopefully maybe either figure out how to get the body out without the centipedes coming out, or do you try to do something? But if you break the tables and stuff, that's going to make noise, right? If you're the ghoul is far enough away that's not going to make noise, but it's dangerous. And then here there's just who knows how many zombie ex-cultists are here, but they're going to be in this area. And then of course there's going to be stuff out here. So I'm hoping that, and then once you get out of the castle, however you manage to get out, hop over the walls, get through the gates, do whatever, then there's a hex crawling portion where presumably, because you're not going to have a lot of, depending on if you're able to, there will be some foodstuffs in here. So you could, if you were thinking ahead, grab something, but you don't know, you're not going to quite get to know how far away you are. So ideally, I would hope that part of the session would be that you're can't just beeline, because there's gonna be a road, but I think I was gonna have some cultists that are not, they don't know what's happened back here, but they just, they're guarding the way, and so there'll be a little bit of shenanigans down there. So reasons to maybe get off the road, things like that, and then scrounge for food, such and such, and then get to town. That's kind of the plan, right? That's how I hope that the session would run, more or less. The things I'm not sure about, just in terms of, so I got the main flow. I might need to make this 10 feet and just have 5 feet in here for these, and maybe just block this off and not really have the inside of it, and put this part over here, which I could do. I have plenty of room to drop these down and then stick this here. There's just have the kind of the outbuilding kind of thing. That's one option. Though, I don't know, for the stables, like 5 feet's not that small. So I don't know. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I'm gonna end up hemming and hawing a bunch on the sizes, because I like the thickness. About 5-foot walls to me I think is a good thickness size. I mean, obviously, it would just be me cutting that in half. We'll see. I'd like to. I know part of the reason why I was interested to look up the moat house was to see what they were doing with their squares. They've got to be using 5-foot squares, I think. Am I right? Would I be right? Are these supposed to be? Do you think these doors are all big 10-foot doors? I can't. Unfortunately, none of these are showing scale. Let me see if I have Hamlet. I don't know if I have a PDF of Hamlet Flow. Let me see if I bought it on drive-thru. I used to. Oh, I used to. I need to go into. Hold on a minute. Let's see what's going here. Yeah, move that over here. I used to be pretty good about trying to hit up the sales on drive-thru for when the TSR era, owned by Watsy stuff would come on sale. But I don't know if I ended up getting Hamlet in one of those. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, you can get it. By the way, you can. They have print on demand for Hamlet. Very, very nice. I'm just gonna. I guess it can't hurt to check if I do have it. Can't hurt to see what I've got. Do I have? Survey says Hamlet. How do I spell Hamlet? HOMM. Oh, wait. Oh, I don't know if I have it here, though. Yeah, it wasn't. I got it. All right, let me see if I can do this, because it looks like I do have it. But I gotta, on my phone. It is going to get me on my phone. I can feel it, because it's going to ask me, I'm sure, for some kind of verification, and I'm not going to have my phone. I knew it. Oh, where did I put my phone? Betty, my other cat Betty is here. Where's my phone? I don't even think it's that far away. I just don't have it right here. Oh, no. Stuff's falling around all over the place. Betty, is my phone near you? Is it? No, it is not. Oh, well. All right. I can't get into Hamlet. If someone has Hamlet, if someone's got Hamlet handy and can tell me the scale, I would appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll just have to do without. Oh, yeah. And there's from Old School Essentials. Beep. I don't know where Hamlet is. I'm not missing it, right? They didn't put it on here, and I'm just not seeing the scale, right? Maybe there's a. Is there a? I don't see it. Okay. All right. That's not. Doesn't seem to be there. All right. Well, maybe somebody redid it, and maybe someone redid it and they added the scale. Would that be possible? What is this? Corrected alternative mode house? Did they add a scale? Oh, Reddit. They did not. Well, I gotta think it's 5 feet. I gotta think it's 5 feet squares. Otherwise, those too big. Doors and such would be too big, wouldn't they? Oh, confused? Would they? Hey, RPG Grandma. Yeah, it just seems right. I just feel like this would make these about 5 feet, 5 feet, kind of normal sort of inside walls, doors, regular size doors. I'm gonna go with 5 feet. So now I don't feel quite so bad. Actually. Corby Dice says the village map has 20-foot squares, but that wouldn't be right for other maps. Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, unless this is a moat house, this is at the scale for giants. These being 20 feet would make no sense at all. Dave prefers 1 meter or 1 yard squares. Fit miniatures better. I have no opinion, Dave. I take your word for it. I have such limited experience with playing with minis that I have really basically no opinions. I played some 4th edition, I played some 3rd, I guess it's not like I have none, but I was never, even when I was using minis, it was never really my minis. I was playing in a game that they used minis, and so I would go and scrounge through the GM's bucket of minis or box of minis and find one. I was never invested in it. Didn't really think about them when I wasn't actively playing those games. And so people who really into minis, I will defer to you because I know not. But it doesn't mean that I don't feel so bad about my scaling. So I might need to just make it. I might just need to make it deeper. I feel like it needs a little breathing room. But this isn't meant, and maybe I'll need to squeeze this more. I think I need to shrink this thing down. Well, I suppose I could do it now, right? That's why I'm here. Shrink that. Kind of leave that the way it is. All right, move these up. Also, a bed being about 2 squares by 1 square looks better than the map. Yeah, I mean, these do look long. I mean, they're kind of tables. So, yeah. I don't care about these cells. They don't care about giving people room to rest. They're just crumple up in a heap for all they care. So, they're not they don't care about that. I wonder for your what are the dimensions of a horse? What do you call a stable? What's the individual in a stable? What are the individuals? What individual, like a horse pen? Horse, what would you call that? Dimensions of horse stall. There we go. English. I'm supposed to speak it, be able to speak it. Well, I just wanted dimensions. Here we go. So I love going down these rabbit holes. The minimum stall size for horses should never be less than 10 by 10. Okay. So they need to be about double this. 10 by 10. So interesting that they have them. I wouldn't have thought they'd be square. I would have thought they would be more, but that's for. So Brian says we must be deep in the weeds. Yeah, we're to 12 by. Dave says 12 by 12. But here's the thing. So they're looking for comfort. I don't know that these folks are looking for comfort. So I actually feel okay by 10 by 5. Because I'm looking at this picture here. Let me pull up, hold on a minute. Pull this up, and then I'm going to drag this over. This looks like, I feel like under, Brian says that's what big stall. Yeah, big horse business wants you to give him 10 by 10. I feel like you could split. I feel like a split, if this is 10 by 10, because here they do have standard horse stall size 12 by 12, minimum 10 by 10. So maybe this is 12 by 12. I feel like split this in half, call it 6 by 10, and then we're just going to round down to 5 by 10. Redcap says in a 10 by 5, a horse isn't going to have enough room to turn around. Well, I don't want the horse to turn around, Redcaps. The horse has no need to turn around. I back him in and I lead him out. Let's see if there's a. Is there anything about medieval horse stalls? All right, here we go. University of Exeter. This is what I like out of these streams. Let's get down to it. What were medieval stables like? That's a great question. Kenilworth Castle. All right, but we're not. That doesn't look medieval. Horses can lie down them. Hold on a minute. What did they say? The typical rule of thumb being 4 to 5 foot wide and 9 to 10 foot long. But a bam! In your face! Big stall business. 4 to 5 feet wide, 9 to 10 feet long. 5 by 10. Patting myself on the back. We have a winner. Winner. Chicken dinner. It's right there. Got problems with it? Take it up with the medievalwarhorse.exeter.ac.uk, a prestigious university of all things medieval and horse. Ha! Way too excited. Way too excited about that. So the funny thing is here, there's not going to actually be any horses in here, but there will be running around in here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure how. I might need to kind of quadrant these up, but I'm going to have an undead horse or something, maybe even a ghoulish horse. There will be some kind of horse undead thing. So if they run to try to get horse, Dave, it's not a big deal. It's going to be ruined. They're not putting their horses in there. There's not even going to be in the horses in there, but can you have it? Yes, you can. Maybe they didn't have draft horses or war horses. They only had pelfreys for riding messengers. But the fact is that a 5 by 10 foot stall is acceptable. Anything after that is gravy. You can have your massively wide stalls somewhere else. I will have my 5 by 10s, and then somewhere maybe around here, and maybe I'll even put some rubble where these are broken, whatever. Because I think like, I could put a roof, and maybe I will put a roof over it. Maybe I'll have to put a roof over all of it. What is that? Yeah, I think I will. I'll just have to roof it up. Oops. I'll just put this. Oh, is that going to mess things up? It might. Hold on a minute. How's this going to work? If I do that. Okay, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to copy and paste and shrink these up. Shrinky. Oh, yeah, no, I'll have to. Oh, it's got no stroke. That's fine. I'll have to fix some of this. You should be. There we go. Redcap says, when the heroes take over this gatehouse, their personal keep, they can expand the stalls and not be as mean to their horsey friends. Yeah, there you go. They could, potentially they could. I mean, I was thinking about that too. I guess if somebody was really, if this was kind of the beginning of an adventure or of a campaign type thing, I might put a note in there like, hey, what if, what to do if the party decides to, I mean, one, they'd have to clear it out, which might be more than they're capable of, depending on how many they are and, what's going on. But yeah, they could totally, if they wanted to come back, they would have to deal with the local lord because, the place has been abandoned and kind of forgotten. And if they're reminded that, there's this really horrible, this fort here, they probably wouldn't be allowed to just like, can we keep it kind of thing. Can we keep it? But yes, I'm just going to give it a little bit because I want people to know that that's a separate building. No. You're going to make me like zoom in here like a punk. I'm trying to line it up. Okay. Something like that. Richie Grandma says they were just looking at the tower scale on the original map. Each square is 10 feet, but across, but there's 5 squares. So when you look at the moat house, the scale must be different. Yeah, we kind of were looking at that, RPG Grandma, and it seems like bringing up this moat house map. Why do I have it twice? It feels like it's got to be 5 feet because we got all these doors here. I'm looking at doors for scale. And actually, even there, kind of their arrow slit. See, if you look at the size of the arrow slit in the picture here, and then arrow slit size of the picture here. So if we consider that this arrow slot is about, say, 3 feet wide, that kind of makes sense here with this, because this is maybe about, or you can call it 2.5. Maybe it's 2.5 feet wide, which just it looks like it's about half the size of that square. And here it looks like it's about that size. So I think there's no way these are 10-foot squares. I think these have got to be 5 feet. I rest my case, Your Honor. Of course, it is just kind of funny that they don't mention they don't put a scale somewhere. Because it is an obvious question. And then, I think just in terms of you looking at, like there's a moat. What does it look like? The moat's around 10 to 15 feet across, give or take. I think that also makes sense for a reasonable size given everything. Thickness of the walls, 5-foot thickness. I think that also kind of makes sense. Again, we have the doors, stairs, and things. I feel like my feelings are that it's all right. That works. I think that works out. Ryan Smith wants to know if they can ride the ghoulish horse. If you could, I suppose if you had some kind of undead controlling powers, you probably could, but it might be tough at first level. One never knows. That'll be up to your GM. Let you ride the ghoul horse. I really dig this. It really is really good. I mean, it's kind of funny because they give these details like, okay, we got this alcove. We don't really know what the alcove's for. I am not certain what the alcove is for. I mean, I'm sure there's a purpose to it, but in terms of, I guess what's funny to me about it is where this is what I love about some of these things. So we don't have something that is of great practical value to us is lacking. We don't know the squares. I feel fairly confident in 5-foot squares, given the evidence we have. Looking at the relationship between our archer here and this hole and kind of where it is in the wall, given how it's in the wall, given door sizes. Somebody pointed out 10-foot wide doors would be massive, or 8-foot wide or whatever. They would all be kind of huge. And I think they would be presented usually as double doors like here. So I think here we have a good, like this is a double door, single doors. Fluffy the Griffin asks which adventure this is from. This is from Hamlet. This is the famous the Moat House, the ruins of the Moat House. Dave says alcove is great because it gives you a moment of cover if something's coming around the corner. It also takes less material to craft an alcove. It does, but look at where they're positioned. Where, if you're here and something's coming around the corner, I got you. If you're here, there's no corner. I mean, keep in mind, when this was built, this was not a corner. This was a wall. There's no corner. So now you could fire, duck in the alcove. But if you have to duck in the alcove, I mean, the whole point of these arrows is that the arrow can only fly in this way. So you don't need an alcove. You could just flop to the side. Well, it looks like the alcoves are actually, I don't know if they are, so they're, if the arrow slit is here, alcove is kind of, it looks like that vertically the alcove is below. So it would be down here. I'm not even sure. Or maybe they'd be next to each other. I don't know. I don't know. The parapet is the wall. So we got this. Arrow slit. I guess they're just putting them all to show what there is. That they're not. Because it's weird. Because this is vertical. This is so here's what I was going to kind of get at. I love it because it gives you all this information. And it's kind of teaching information. And I remember back when learning a lot from reading these modules and other things, because you would learn all this stuff like parapets and crenellations and arrow slits. Not having ever studied them in terms of design, but just because I would read them, you read them in these modules, like, oh, arrow slots or slits, whatever. Oh, that's cool. Right. That's great. But the funny thing is, it's at the same time, it's kind of confusing because here they have it like it's a vertical, but it's also kind of a horizontal. And then they have these alcoves where, if it's to Dave's point, if the alcove is to protect you, then it's not good. But as Redcap says, it was often used to store extra arrows or oil. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense to have it there. And then it would make sense to be in between the arrow slots. So you have your alcove where you could store your arrows, and then you could easily pull your arrows out, pull your arrows out. That makes more sense. There's still probably, like, I don't know if you got one here, or unless it's like one alcove per arrow slot. So this alcove is for this arrow slot. This alcove is for this one, if it's kind of there. But then this one doesn't have one. This one doesn't have one. These seem to share one. So, and it's I guess part of the interesting thing is that there's just kind of inconsistency, though you could just put it down to, well, it was just designed inconsistently, but it's interesting. RPG Grandma bets the squares are 10 feet. I don't have the module to go look at. Somebody said in the module they don't actually say. Billy Bob says that the vertical nature has no bearing. Well, it is trying to show you, it does have bearing insofar as it's trying to show you that the parapet is above. So the verticality is important from that aspect. But yes, it seems to be, other than showing that the parapet is up here and this stuff is below, then that's correct, right? And the battlement is this piece of wall, which is also, I guess it's both vertical and horizontal in relationship. So it's a weird thing, but obviously the crumbling wall is not meant to be underneath that stuff. But I just find it interesting because it's kind of a hodgepodge of good information, but then it's also like, oh, you're giving us all this stuff, which kind of technically speaking, we don't really need. We don't really need the arrow slits explained, other than that they're there, and it's kind of good to know what they are. But the other thing I was wondering is, are there any creatures? I haven't read Hamlet in a long time, so I don't know. Are there any creatures that actually take advantage of those? But then we're missing a clear indicator of the size, which is something that's really practically important, regardless of anything else going on. It's just kind of funny, right? It's just a little bit like, huh, that's interesting. That's interesting. They don't give us the square size, which we kind of really need, but they've given us all this really cool background information that we may or may not need. I mean, I feel like this is great. Crumbling wall. Like, yeah, I think I got that. I think even as a kid, I'm pretty sure I figured out that that's crumbling wall. I don't know if the parapet supposed to refer to just the ceiling or the whole wall. Maybe it is. Maybe it is only supposed to refer to the ceiling. I refer to the whole thing. I'm not sure. I always think of the parapet as the kind of the top, but that's just me. That might just be me. In any case, it's kind of fun that they give you all this and then we're missing square size. RPG Grandma says the ceiling's 10 foot. Yeah, but we're not looking at, but this above view isn't giving us ceiling. We don't know the height of the ceilings. We're just we're top down. And if you look at that arrow slot, that's maybe 2 to 3 feet. If that's 2 to 3 feet, then that would make this 5 feet. That would be my feeling. And this isn't a square. See, look, even this, if this is a 10-foot ceiling, not that this is necessarily 5 feet. It must not be to scale, but it's not the same size. This is a rectangular where the ceiling is higher than the floor is wide. So make of that what you will. But it doesn't look like this is to any kind of scale because it's not 5 foot, I don't think. But it's also not 10 foot. So what are we saying? It's 8 foot squares? Probably not. Bromo says only a handful of brigands could shoot arrow slits. Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't have the module in front of me. It's something I'd love to work because I love those details, but it's also great, I think, that if you're going to have those things in there, that you can actually use them. I mean, the nice thing is that depending on how this thing runs, I know I never really ran Hamlet, so I don't know if parties ended up taking over the moat house, but those details are also nice because then if the party does take it, or it just becomes a location later on that they may need of them later, right? But always good, I think, when you have those elements and that things in the actual place can take advantage of those elements. I actually have my. Do I have it? I do. All right, RPG Grandma. I can oblige you on that score. I actually happen to have my beat up copy in hand. I don't know that it's going to give you a defining answer. We have castle tables on page 182 and 183. Random dungeon generation. What do they say? Do they say anything? What do they say? What is just out of curiosity, what does the random dungeon generation give you? I'm not looking for numbers and I'm not seeing it. Okay, so we have the start area. That's fine. We got squares, but they don't tell us what the squares are. Side passages, passage width. Well, they kind of get all over the place. So the random tables aren't going to be of use. What did I say? 185 for castle tables? That's not that. No. No, hold on a minute. Where's the no? Hold on, that wasn't it. Oh, Billy Bob's got his. Well, if somebody can find, because I know it's riveting watching me in miniature next to a still screen trying to scramble and find it, but I'm looking for if they say castle sizes. What was that chart? I must have had it wrong. Okay, I saw castle tables. Oh, 182 to 182, 183. I don't think those are going to be. I think those must be things you encounter in castles and not anything about castle sizes, but yeah. So castles, yeah, this says small, medium, large. Womp womp. I don't know. Somebody's got to find out. I wonder. I'll ask the question. What is the size of the squares in the Hamlet moat house? Not expecting an answer. But you never know. We're asking, somebody else had to have asked. All right, so there's a couple of things here. So Dyson seems to suggest that they're 10 foot, which would match up with what RPG Grandma was saying. Those are the dungeons. Redraw them with 5 foot squares instead of the traditional 10 foot squares. These are underground, so maybe not looking for. Call a friend. If this were Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or whatever, I would have. Some guy says the guard tower uses 10-foot squares. All right. Well, if I had Tim Kask on the hotline, I would definitely ask him. It seems too big for me, but if that's what folks are saying, that's what folks are saying. What is this? Is this like some original notes? Oh, that's their notes. They don't even use any squares. Whoops. That's a beautiful note thing. Trick question. There are no squares. There's no spoon. Yeah, well, it'll remain a mystery. If it ends up being 10 feet, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I will still use 5-foot squares for mine, but I'm fine if it ends up being 10 feet. I feel like that makes those doors huge. But I suppose we could just say at that point that they're not to scale. The doors are not to scale. So I guess we just have to go with that. I'm gonna stick with 5 feet. I'm gonna stick with 5 feet. Well, it's kind of abstract. I mean, we got stuff like the literal. It's not that abstract. This is one of those things where, like, is it abstract or is it not? You can read it both ways because we've got like individual grasses here. It's all marked up. We've got what looks like a very non-abstract coursing of the mode. It's not really drawn to be abstract. It looks like it's drawn to be fairly to whatever. But like I said, I'm willing to suspend my cartographical disbelief and say, okay, they just mean those to be indicators of doors and not some kind of scaling. That's fine. I can roll with that. I could roll. And maybe that's supported by the fact that these double doors, which I'm guessing would actually be bigger than these, are smaller than these. Because these double doors are actually, feel like are smaller, but I would imagine they're bigger, but maybe they're not. Maybe there's double doors. I don't know. I think Fluffy the Griffin, I think people were plenty pedantic in the 80s. I don't think there was any less pedantry. I think you can look in Dragon magazines and whatnot. You'll find, well, I guess there's no, unfortunately, I don't know how many forums survive, but I'm sure you can find some letters to the editor totally get into it. But that's fine. We'll say 10-foot squares, but I'm still going to stick with 5. I'm going to stick with 5. Because guess what? I'm a modern man, and this is a modern blue map. All right. I'm about ready to shut her down for now because I got to go pick up my daughter in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to make this in 2 levels. So we have some stairs going up to the boathouse. Do I need to add some kind of, how are they're showing, whoops, what am I doing here? Where is it? They're showing, how do they do the battlements? Lines, squares and lines. All right, so I'm going to have to do some of that. How do I do that? Okay, so I need to, let's fix this up. We're going to go none of that. How are they doing it? All lines with a dark line and then lines. All right. So maybe what I need to do is this actually needs to be do I need to swap it? Do I need to, definitely need to put this on the, it is already, no, oh, I see, I need to put it like that. Definitely gonna need to roll down the page. 107 has some info. Is this 107 in the DMG? I mean, I've given it up for lost, so I'll take my lumps. I'll take my lumps. No, I didn't want that. But I appreciate the lookup. I don't think I need too many. No, I keep forgetting. I got to kind of deselect. I think I could have used the escape key. No, escape. Escape. Got to fix these. Cool. Thanks, Billy Bob. I will check it out, but I won't bore folks with looking at it now, but I will. If I get that right, I could also just copy paste if that one's seeming to be in some weird rotation. Seems like it is. All right, well, that's. I arrange these again. Layers, align. I feel like that's not quite right. Oh yeah, I do like the building, the table building numbers are good for sure. I mean, not the sorry, the tables for building. I always love those dungeon building tables. That look better. Always thought they were very cool. Never really got to use them as much. I mean, I think like everybody laments not really getting to use those construction tables with all the prices and whatnot as much as they want. But it would be fun. I agree. I mean, I suppose you could do it if you were serious. If you were serious about having kind of factional, if you wanted to really have some faction play and kind of get into it, I think you could totally do that. Use. Oh, you know, it's going to be, that's probably okay. Do I want to fix that? Shoot. Do I want to fix that? Do I care enough to fix that? Probably should. Oh. All right. Let's attach. I'm going to delete. There we go. All right. So I'm going to come in here. This is not a map maker. This is no more or no less than Affinity Designer. So no map maker. I'm just fumbling around. Okay. Whee! Oh yeah, I just totally just kind of made that too big over there. So, all right, RPG Grandma. Well, and thanks for hanging out and schooling me on the size of the squares. And I'll see you around. So yeah, I'm just using Affinity Designer, Fluffy. I looked at when I decided I was going to be doing this. Let me just see if this works better, or am I going to have? I'm probably going to have corners. All right, so I thought I got rid of that. Now I'm going to create. Well, let me duplicate. Battlement corners. I'm going to get rid of those. I know I could have done this in a much easier way, but I didn't. Okay. Still looks a little bit funky. But you know what? I might just not care about that. Oh, this is gonna Shazbot. Damn it. I'm gonna have to yeah, Dungeon Scroll. I mean, so what happened was, Fluffy, that I'm gonna do something with it. So I intend to do something with this if I can manage to finish it. And in order to do anything commercially, and I would presume if I was gonna, I have a Patreon, and I like to try to do stuff for my patrons. If I were to do this and put on Patreon or put on itch or do something with it, or if I wanted to, publish some other way, right? You need the pro license for Dungeon Scroll. I don't mind paying. I don't have a problem paying for the software necessarily, but I don't want to pay the subscription. I just want to pay a flat fee. And for something like Dungeon Scroll, and I guess it's a web app, so presumably then they are having, you are making, it's run on the web, so it's running using bandwidth, blah 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 blah, like in servers and something like that. But it really doesn't have to be. It doesn't need to be. I'd much prefer if it was just something where I could pay to unlock a commercial license, because at least that's not in as it is now. Because what I'm not familiar with Dungeon Scroll, but when I looked it up, I guess there was some earlier version, and the current version has been I guess bought or acquired, has become part of the Roll20 family. And I don't know how it was originally. If you could just use, if it was free for commercial use before, I don't know. As it is now, that requires a subscription to a pro tier, which unlocks the commercial licensing. I would prefer not to do that. I don't want to. I do not want to. So that's kind of the barrier there. And then I think even within that, it's a little bit complicated, or at least there's conflicting documentation, because some of the documentation is for the earlier version and then some documentation for the current version. But with marketplace assets, at least if you choose, and I would probably, I don't, okay, well, I would say that my instinct would be that I wouldn't really be using third-party assets in something like Dungeon Scroll, but I don't know what their built-in assets are. So maybe I'd get to a spot like, oh man, I could really use X, Y, or Z, and oh look, it's there in the Dungeon Scroll store. But or however the marketplace, whatever. Problem is that then you also have to keep in mind what the licensing for those additional assets are. So I think that whatever that license, whatever you're getting, even subscribing to the pro tier in terms of Dungeon Scroll, only I think clears you for the first party, Roll20, whatever, the native assets, whatever they are. And I don't know what they are. If you then pull in stuff from a third party, then you have to figure out what their license is and figure that part stuff out. Especially for, now I would presume doing the very simple stuff I'm doing, that I would not need to do anything with third-party assets, but you never know. And you install one and you start making maps, and you're like, oh, and you don't even think about it. And then it's like, oh gosh, what did I do? Or somebody comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, stop, take down your map, whatever. Don't want to deal with it. And I don't want the subscription, right? Bottom line is I don't want the subscription. So, and I just never got comfortable with Dungeon Draft. I own it. I've got it. It just every time I go in there and muck around with it, I just end up losing um just sort of yeah, I mean really just kind of losing my it just doesn't I don't know, whatever it is about it just doesn't vibe with me. I don't know why. That I would more or less probably is on me. So I was looking around yesterday, nothing was really coming to me. And I just wanted to start working on this. And I was just like, well, I'm just doing really simple shapes. So let me just grab, old TSR blue. And this is what I did yesterday. And let me just draw some things in here. And as I need a new shape, I'll just draw it. I was thinking I don't need too many, but I was like, oh, I want some spiral stairs. Okay, I made the spiral stairs. And that's okay. I need doors. So I made a door thing. Oh, I need a well. So there's a well. Oh, I need some open traps. Great. Oh, I need a closed trap. Great. Oh, I need some barrels. I mean, the barrels. Oh, columns are just closed circles, right? Pretty. And then the shapes are just these, you can merge together some easy shapes. So eventually, maybe I'll throw these, because these are all vectors. So I can easily create some 16 by 16 or I don't know, whatever I don't know, or whatever. I don't know whatever tile set or 128 by 120. I don't know whatever tile set something uses and use that. I saw that there's a free tile map editor called or a free map editor called Tiled that might even be really good because it's for it's really for video game design, but it works similar something like Dungeon Draft or something else. Obviously, it's not going to have some of the fancier stuff that Dungeon Draft does just for the draft. But I think it'd be very easy to put a tile set in there and just start dragging out and doing, which is kind of all I wanted. I really just wanted to be able to go bloop, 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 and just plop stuff on the map. Oh, thanks, Fluffy Griffin. I appreciate it. I feel like you're trying to woo me with praise because to me this feels not at all. I mean, I like this one a little bit more. It's very. I just want the point to get across. Ultimately, if I can get the point across, and obviously, if with this I'd have things numbered so you know that this is stables and that this is a gatehouse and whatever. Like I'd have it. I'm not really intending this to be more. This is really abstract, right? And maybe I'll throw some funky shapes in here to show broken bits, but it's really just supposed to be an abstract thing. And maybe even doing the battlements, I don't really need. I'm kind of just thinking like, do I want to do what the moat house does? But then again, the moat house also looks kind of super busy, maybe in a way that I don't actually need. I don't know. But we'll see. Dave says at some point they want to do their own art for a mapping system, like where everything can be dragged in super easy. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to get there, right? If I can get there, and if this is kind of a tester for that, then maybe I'll throw these into something like Tiled or into Dungeon Draft. I also had problems with Dungeon Draft kind of flaking on me, so I might just give Tiled. Or like I said, if you have something like Affinity Designer, you could make these symbols. You can have a whole library of symbols here, and then you can really just drag and drop them on there, and it's not very different. And the one thing that's nice about something like, and again, this would go the same way if you had Illustrator. It doesn't have to be, or even something else. If you were doing it kind of in pixels, like Photoshop, I'm in vectors, but it could easily be pixels or GIMP or anything else. People use GIMP and people use MS Paint and whatever. Is that you have all the capabilities of these really powerful photo and graphic engines beneath the surface as opposed to not I'm not trying to put shade on Dungeon Draft or anything or whatever, but look, in terms of just power, raw power, Photoshop or Designer or Illustrator or GIMP or whatever versus Dungeon Draft, look, those pro graphics programs are going to be just more powerful. You can run them in your desktop. I know Dungeon Draft you can run on your desktop, though I found it flaky. It looks like some of the other ones you can't. There are some advantages to if you can get over to either creating your own kind of quality of life or just getting over the fact that you're going to have some lack of quality of life. You're not going to have like, oh, things snap together in kind of a dungeony way, right? You're going to kind of have to do that. I've just been using, these are really simple. I'm either just using compound shapes and merging them together. Like this is just a circle that I merged onto a rectangle. And I'm just using borders to make these thick borders. And I just kind of figured out which border size was more or less what I wanted. And that's kind of it. That's not that much more to it. So Dave wants to do a hex map in 16-bit pixel art. Not to dissuade you, because you should definitely do it anyway, but I believe somebody has done that. Maybe even more than one person has done it. So, I mean, not that you should still do it, because it's certainly good that more than one person can do a thing. So definitely do it, but just check. You might want to check just to see what they've done. I'm going to delete these because I think I tried to do it a different way. I'm going to try to do it a different way, and then I'm going to try to do these battlements one more time. I think I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to fill. Stroke. Oh, no. Thank you. I don't want to do that. Let's make I'm just going to make a square. I'm going to swap. How do I want to do this? I need to swap that. Oh, I see. Okay. No, Dave, like I said, you should always do it. Don't let somebody else having done it stop you necessarily. I just wanted to point out to you so that you can check out what somebody else has done, Maybe I'm just going to do 2 battlements per square. Do that. These are each. So I need the width of my grid is, I think, 0.5 or is it 0.5 or 0.25? I think that's right. This would also be 2.5. Are they touching? They are touching. Now, just make sure. Actually, let me just see. How are these squares on the inside? All right, and then I'm gonna need to put another line. No, quit it. How does that look? Group it together. I need to. Why are you putting the line there? I need it to be. I think let me go in here. I could, this is where I could be sitting there monkeying around with it all night. I need to. That's the right size. I think I might need to reduce this. Can I reduce this to 0.5? I don't even know if that's even worth it, to be honest. I'll just make a couple of these. I'm really just curious. I don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze for the little bit of extra resolve. What do you think? Do I need more? Would that make it more sense? Do I need a bigger gap? I don't know. Oh, I I got them grouped. I'm not sure. All right, folks. Well, I got a jet because I definitely need to run and get my daughter. Thanks for hanging out while I'm working on this. I might do this again tomorrow. I have some free time tomorrow. Maybe I'll get into some actual Switch. I don't know how much I'll get to work on this tonight, so we'll see. I might kind of do a mega stream tomorrow where I'm just kind of working. And I wonder, this is just me, like, I don't know, the audience for I don't know if I'll do it maybe I'll do it on Discord or something, at least for a while, so that I'm not mucking up the tubes too much. I think sometimes people get annoyed with me with these long streams of nothing. So we'll see where I'm doing. I kind of feel like at this size, these things are not gonna visualize well. So I gotta kind of figure out what I want to do there. Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave, for helping me with the rabbit holes. Now I know the size of a stall for a non-war horse in a medieval stables. So, we learned a few things. Have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or streaming this. Watching this, I guess at this point, the stream is over. So, do that. Yep, everyone take it easy. Game on. Talk to you later. Bye now.